Hello everyone. The story I'm going to tell today is about neglect, favoritism, and finally, a silent revenge that took 4 years to build. It's about the moment I realized I didn't need the validation of the people who should have loved me unconditionally, but who chose not to. To help you understand the weight of what happened that graduation night, I need to give you some context about my family dynamics. I grew up in what psychologists call a family with assigned roles. I have an older brother, Lucas. Since he was born, Lucas has been the golden child. He could never make a mistake. If he got a C in school, it was the teacher's fault. If he broke a vase, it was my fault for leaving him in a dangerous place. Me. I'm the scapegoat, the invisible child. My parents, whom I'll call Roberto and Sandra, always made it clear that my resources were limited because they needed to be invested in Lucas's future. Lucas played soccer, needed expensive equipment, trips to tournaments, and private tutors. I had been working since I was 14, delivering newspapers and washing dishes to buy my own clothes and school supplies. The exclusion didn't begin at graduation. It was the culmination of a lifetime of being left out. But graduation was different. It was the moment their mask fell off in front of hundreds of people. Throughout high school, I kept a secret. I knew that if my parents knew about my grades or extracurricular activities, they would find a way to diminish my achievements or, worse, demand that I use my time to help Lucas with his homework. So, I practiced what they call gray rock. I was uninteresting. I didn't talk about school. I just said everything was fine. They assumed I was a mediocre student, destined to work low-paying jobs forever. Little did they know what I was building in the shadows. Tone of voice, growing frustration, detailing the injustice. Graduation month has arrived. Lucas, who is a year older than me, had his graduation the previous year. It was a pharaonic event. My parents rented a hall, invited the entire extended family, and gave him a used, but in excellent condition, car as a gift. They spent thousands of reis. When it was my turn, the conversation was very different. About 2 months before the ceremony, we were having dinner. My mother, without even lifting her eyes from her plate, said, "Son, we've been looking at the finances. With Lucas's college costing so much and him needing a new apartment near campus, we won't have a budget to throw a party for you. And honestly, we don't think it's necessary to buy extra tickets for the ceremony. The school provided 4 free tickets per student. Any extra ticket cost money. But it wasn't about the money for the tickets. It was about attendance." I asked, "So, who's going with my free tickets?" My father replied, "Well, we thought about giving them to your grandparents and Lucas's godfather. They like this kind of social event. We, your parents, will stay home preparing dinner for when you get back. Besides, it's just a formality, right? You'll get your diploma and that's it. It's not like you're receiving an Olympic medal." That hurt. It hurt deeply. They were planning not to go. They wanted to give my tickets to distant relatives just to keep up appearances, while they themselves stayed home. But the worst came a week before. They decided that I shouldn't go either. "Why spend money on renting a graduation gown?" my mother said. "We'll receive the diploma in the mail anyway. You can work that day and earn some extra money. Lucas is coming to visit us on graduation weekend, and we want to take everyone to dinner at an expensive place. If you save the money for the gown, you can come along." They wanted me to miss my own graduation, so they could use the money to pay for my own dinner at my brother's visiting celebration. That's when something broke inside me. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just said, "Okay, do what you think is best." But I didn't cancel anything. I had already paid for the gown with my own money. I had everything planned. Tone of voice, direct connection with the listener. Before I tell you what happened that night and how I turned the tables, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you try, it's never enough for certain people? If you've ever been through this, leave a comment below saying I know my worth. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel. We bring you stories like this every week to show you that you're not alone and that justice, sometimes delayed, never fails. If you're enjoying the story, leave your like right now. That helps a lot. Let's go back to graduation night, nervousness and anticipation. On graduation day, my parents left early with Lucas, who had just arrived in town. They went to a fancy lunch. I stayed home eating a sandwich. They didn't even ask if I wanted to go. When they left, my mother said, "Don't wait up for us. We're going to enjoy some time with your brother." They really thought I was going to stay home. As soon as their car turned the corner, I sprang into action. I showered, put on my best clothes under the graduation gown I had hidden at the back of the closet. I called a taxi. Arriving at school alone was a strange feeling. I saw my classmates taking pictures with proud parents, mothers crying with emotion, fathers adjusting ties. I was alone. I walked to the graduates' gathering area and found my history teacher, Mr. Almeida. He was one of the few who knew about my situation. "Did they come?" he asked. "No," I replied. "They think I'm at home." He squeezed my shoulder. "They'll regret this. Tonight is your night." The ceremony began. I knew my grandparents were there somewhere, with the tickets my parents gave them, but I didn't look for them. I was focused. The ceremony followed standard protocol. Boring speeches, the band playing. Then came the moment for the diploma presentation. The list was alphabetical. When my name was called, there was polite applause from the students and, I imagine, from my grandparents. I walked across the stage, picked up the empty tube, "The real diploma comes later," and shook the principal's hand. Up to that point, everything was normal. If the night had ended there, it would have been just sad. But the night wasn't over. After all the students received their diplomas, the principal returned to the microphone. The auditorium lights dimmed, and a spotlight focused on the center of the stage. "Now," said the principal, "we have the honor of announcing this year's special awards in valedictorian." The student chosen to deliver the final speech was selected not only for having the highest GPA in the history of the school, but also for having earned a full scholarship, I repeat full, to the State Medical University, in addition to a National Merit Scholarship. I saw the commotion in the audience. People were whispering, trying to guess who the genius was. I had never told anyone about my grades, not even my closest friends. "Please," continued the principal, "welcome our valedictorian to the stage with a round of applause." He said my name. The silence that followed for a second was deafening, before being broken by the applause of my colleagues and teachers who knew me. I rose from my chair. My legs trembled, but my head was held high. I walked to the podium. I adjusted the microphone. The light was bright. "No," I said, loud enough for the people nearby to hear. "You said it wasn't worth coming. You said I wouldn't win an Olympic medal. You went to dinner with Lucas. Don't pretend you care now, just because you have an audience." My father's smile disappeared. My mother tried to intervene. "Don't make a scene. Let's go home and talk." "I'm not going home with you," I replied. "I'm going to celebrate with Mr. Almeida and my friends. And next week, I'm moving to the university campus for the summer program. My things are already packed. This happened 4 years ago. I left home that week and never went back permanently. I stayed at a friend's house for 2 weeks until the college dorms opened. The scholarship covered everything: housing, food, books. I worked part-time at the library to have my own money. During that time, my parents tried to contact me, not to apologize, but to ask for money. Apparently, Lucas, the golden son, dropped out of college in his second year because it was too stressful and moved back in with them. Their investment had failed. They wanted to know if I could help the family now that I was almost a medical school graduate. Today, I am officially a resident physician. I didn't invite my parents to my medical school graduation. I invited my grandparents, who understood the situation and stood by me, and Mr. Almeida. I found out through a cousin that my parents tell all the neighbors has a son who's a doctor, trying to take credit for my success. But the truth? They don't know my address, they don't know my phone number, and they're not part of my life. The best revenge wasn't the speech. The best revenge was being happy, successful, and free, owing them nothing. This story serves as a brutal but necessary reminder. You are not defined by how your family treats you. The role they gave you, whether scapegoat, black sheep, or invisible, doesn't have to be the role you'll play for the rest of your life. Blood makes you related, but loyalty makes you family. If you're in a toxic situation, plan quietly, work hard in the shadows, and let your success make the noise for you. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to fight alone, I want you to do 3 things now. 1. Like this video/episode. This helps our message reach other people who need to hear it. 2. Comment. What was your biggest silent victory? I want to read your story in the comments. 3. Subscribe. Click the subscribe button and turn on notifications. We have many more stories of overcoming, justice, and comebacks coming soon. Thank you for listening this far. Remember, the best is yet to come, and it depends only on you. Until next time,